Well, it really has been raining cats and dogs down here in Florida recently, and depending on what time you are going to be visiting Disney World, you can almost guarantee that it is going to rain at least one day during your visit. And you may be thinking, oh no, I don't want it to rain during my Disney World vacation, that's absolutely going to ruin my trip. But let me tell you, visiting Disney World whenever it rains actually may be one of the best times to actually visit Disney World. As long as you are prepared ahead of time going into your day at Disney World, there's actually ways to successfully do Disney World when it rains, which is why here I wanted to share some tips with you on how to do Disney World when it rains, starting with tip number 1 here. The one thing that seems self-explanatory, and even I forget at times, is to bring an umbrella with you to Disney World. Now, especially if you're visiting during the summertime, during the early summer, there are crazy thunderstorms and rainstorms that happen at Disney World, and having an umbrella is a very handy thing to have on hand when it rains. Now, of course, with all of the other things I'll be mentioning here in this video, there are options to purchase at Disney World, but you will be paying that little bit of Disney tax that comes along with items that you'll pay at Disney World. Having an umbrella on hand with you at Disney World can help you to still be able to go from ride to ride and not get completely soaked. What I recommend when choosing an umbrella to bring to Disney World is I recommend bringing a small travel-sized umbrella that is able to fit in a park bag if you are taking a bag, and also doesn't take up a lot of space when you are walking around the park. This mini travel umbrella that I usually take with me to the parks easily fits inside of my park bag, and I find that it doesn't take up too much space and isn't too heavy in my bag. But let's say you don't have an umbrella or aren't wanting to take an umbrella with you when you are traveling to Disney World. Another option that you can take that doesn't take up a lot of space that you can purchase ahead of time is a rain poncho. Now, they do have rain ponchos at Disney World that you can purchase, but as I mentioned, there will be that Disney tax on it, and so just go to Walmart, Target, any store ahead of time and find some cheap rain ponchos that you can purchase and put in your bag to take with you to Disney World. Even if you don't end up using these rain ponchos, they're a very cheap option and thing to have on hand with you in case it does rain at Disney World. This will help you to save some money and be prepared ahead of time. The last thing I recommend taking with you to Disney World is some type of raincoat. Now, I have this Columbia raincoat that actually is a collapsible raincoat and folds into this little Mickey pouch, and so there are a lot of other collapsible raincoats that you can get out there, but by bringing a raincoat, it can help you to still run around the parks, go from ride to ride, and not get wet. So those are some things that you can bring with you to Disney World ahead of time to help you to get through the rain. But let's talk about shoes here for a moment. It's all good and fine if your shirt and pants get wet, but if your shoes get wet, that can really impact your Disney day. But here are 2 things that I highly recommend. 1, I highly recommend that you are bringing multiple pairs of shoes with you to Disney World. If you end up bringing one designated pair of shoes to Disney World and they get wet the first day of your trip, that's not going to be very good for you. What I recommend is bringing multiple pairs of shoes so that way if one pair does get wet, they can dry out a couple of days and you still have some extra pairs to fall back on for the next day you'll be going to the parks. The other day we had some crazy weather which caused some of the walkways in the Disney parks to actually flood, and there was ankle deep water, which your shoes would absolutely get drenched if that happened. So I recommend bringing multiple pairs of shoes so that way you can prevent only having one pair of shoes that will be wet the rest of your trip. Another thing that I recommend when it comes to shoes are bringing shoes that are either water resistant or that dry very easily. If you've seen some of my other videos before, you know that I swear by these Croc wedges. They absolutely do not look like they would be very good Disney park shoes, but I absolutely swear by these. These are great for so many reasons. They are so comfortable to walk around for a day at Disney, but also they are perfect in case it rains at Disney World because they won't get wet. So it doesn't have to be Croc wedges, but if you have sandals that you know are comfortable, or if you have other shoes that are water resistant to wear with you at the park, I highly recommend bringing those so that way they don't get wet during your day at Disney World and you can continue going from ride to ride and not worry about getting soaked shoes. Okay, so we talked about what to bring and what to wear when it rains at Disney World, but let's talk a little bit about what to do when it actually rains when at Disney World. One thing that I highly recommend is to plan around the rain. If you know when you are going to be visiting the Disney parks, I recommend a week out looking and seeing what the weather is looking like so that way you know what to bring with you when you are going to Disney World. But then I also recommend checking the morning of going to the park that you're going to and seeing what the weather's going to look like. If you see at the middle of the day that there is going to be a crazy thunderstorm or a little bit of rain, I highly recommend checking out some of the roller coaster or outdoor rides in the morning so that way you can absolutely get to those and do some indoor rides rides whenever it is raining. So by having an idea of when it's going to be raining in the Disney parks, it can help you to plan out your day and make the most of your time regardless of it raining or not. And going along with rides, whenever it is raining outside, I recommend doing some indoor rides or shows. A lot of times whenever it is raining at Disney World, a lot of the outdoor rides will actually temporarily close down since it is raining, and especially if there's lightning in the area. So this is a perfect time for you to save to do some of the indoor rides or shows that you are wanting to visit, so that way you can stay dry and not have to be outside in the rain. Now I will say at times the wait times for indoor rides will definitely start to go up whenever it is starting to rain, but regardless, if you're waiting in line, that is a lot better than waiting outside where it's raining. If you know when it's going to rain, that's also another great time to plan a sit-down dinner reservation, or if you're wanting to get a bite to eat, that's a great time for you to be able to take a quick breather and maybe wait out the storm as it goes through. Another great thing that you can do while it's raining is to go shopping. The Disney parks have so many stores and gift shops to check out whenever you're visiting the parks, and so by saving that whenever it is actually raining outside, that can help you to maximize your time whenever it's not raining and do some of the outdoor rides and save the shopping for when it is raining. So you may think it's the end of the world if it rains on your Disney vacation, but there's a lot of things that you can do as long as you are prepared ahead of time to still make the most of your time when you are in the Disney parks. A lot of times when it rains too, it's such a bonus because people will actually start to leave the parks and go back to their hotel or leave for the day, and so it really can clear out the park. This is why I recommend bringing a lot of these items ahead of time with you, so that way you are well prepared so you can keep on making the most of your time at Disney World. As I mentioned before, what shoes you decide to bring to the Disney parks is a very important decision, so I recommend checking out this video here where I share some of my favorite shoes to wear at Disney World, as well as a playlist that includes some other Disney tips and tricks videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Hit that subscribe button if you can, and enjoy your day at Disney World if it rains. See you guys!